Just 4 weeks ago or so, it really felt like this era of Buckeyes football was over. I thought Ryan Day was going to get kicked out of Columbus. People hated Chip Kelly. They lost to Michigan for a 4th straight time. It was embarrassing, and Columbus was almost at an all-time low. You could just see the fear in Ryan Day's eye. He looked rattled, and this program did not know what hit them. That game against Michigan went about as bad as it could have from a game plan, preparation, and execution standpoint. Everything the Buckeyes should have done to win that game, they did the opposite. They didn't score any points in the second half, 0, which should be a crime with the talent they had. And after that game was over, Ryan Day mentioned how you're gonna face adversity in life, and it's about how you overcome it. At the time, I didn't care what he said. I don't think anyone did. The dude was an awful coach, and he couldn't put the pieces of the puzzle together to win a big football game when it felt like even your average Joe could have drawn up a winning formula with this group of guys. I mean, that Michigan game really was awful to watch. It was 2-yard run up the middle that was stuffed, 1-yard run, and then 3rd and long for the entire game. And just to rub it in, every now and then Chip Kelly would call a short little passing route and it would be an easy completion. It was agonizing to watch, and before you knew it, Ohio State was in position to lose the game. I was almost in denial watching that game. The whole time I wasn't worried at all because I knew they were going to find a way to win. And before you knew it, Day never changed the game plan. He made 0 adjustments, and the Wolverines defense continued to shut it down. And they got the dub and went wild, planting a flag. The coach was waving goodbye to the fans at the horseshoe. Ryan Day really just looked stunned, staring off at everything that was happening in the distance. After this game, a lot unfolded. Day at this point obviously knew he had to make a schematic change with his job on the line. And the Buckeyes found out in round 1 with the brand new college football playoff format that they would be hosting Tennessee. This was definitely a matchup that the Buckeyes wanted, making an SEC team come north into the cold, but I honestly was a little nervous about this game being at home because I felt like if the Buckeyes went out there and had a 3-and-out on their first drive, the boo birds would start coming out and Ryan Day would really get in his own head. But coming right out of the gate, the Buckeyes were super aggressive, and they were throwing the ball. Henderson had a 21-yard catch, and then Howard went straight to Jeremiah Smith in the end zone for a 37-yard touchdown. And he made a fantastic grab while being draped by his defender. But that's just who Jeremiah Smith is, and that's what he has proven to do all season long. No matter what the situation is, how many guys are guarding him, if you make a good throw and allow him to get a chance to go get it, 90% of the time, he will haul it in. Or he will at least make a play on the ball to prevent it from getting intercepted. After that touchdown, the whole team regained its confidence and was able to settle in. They got a stop, and Howard hit Ibuka for a 40-yard gain, and Judkins rushed it in to put the Bucks on top 14-0. And it was straight woodshed from there, because it didn't take long for Ohio State to make it 21-0. Howard hit pretty much everyone driving the offense down the field, and since they established the pass and the Tennessee defense was on their heels, Henderson was able to take it into the end zone from 29 yards back. From there, the Buckeyes went a little conservative. They still scored. I mean, they had 42 points for the game, but after scoring 3 touchdowns in that first quarter, they scored 3 the rest of the game, leading to a big 42-17 blowout win. This was a sigh of relief for Ryan Day, and after this game, I was starting to feel confident that the Buckeyes were on their way to winning a national championship, because Ryan Day and Chip Kelly at the right time finally figured out how to use the talent on this team to put each player in the best position to succeed. So following this win, the Buckeyes were heading to Pasadena to play in the Rose Bowl. And this was a big time matchup between two teams that had a crazy game earlier in the season. Will Howard so badly wanted to get his revenge. Really, the entire team had that bad taste in their mouth still lingering. And the Buckeyes, continuing their momentum and style from that Tennessee game, came out firing like they were shot out of a cannon. Howard hit Scott for 30 yards, and then Jeremiah Smith took a short crossing route all the way to the house for a 45-yard touchdown. And then not even 5 minutes later, Ibuka caught a 42-yard touchdown pass on a perfect dot from Howard. Then Fielding kicked a 46-yard field goal, and Jeremiah Smith caught a 43-yard touchdown, and all of a sudden, it was 24-0 Ohio State. I almost could not believe what I was seeing. And Oregon and their fan base looked completely stunned. They did do a little bit of fighting back. They scored before halftime and they tried to make it interesting, so credit to them for not giving up. And they were undefeated for a reason. They had the season they had for a reason, so you knew they weren't just going to go out like that. But the Bucks put too many points on the board out of the gate, and they won the Rose Bowl. And now all of a sudden, just like that, Ryan Day and the Buckeyes were headed to the Final Four to play in the Cotton Bowl against the Texas Longhorns. And this offense was just full steam ahead. All of a sudden, that Michigan loss felt like a long time ago, and this did not even look like the same team on the field. Going into that Texas game, a lot of people were saying that these were the two best teams left in the tournament. Ohio State was the favorite, but Texas had a really solid defense, and they showed it. Their game plan was to completely take Jeremiah Smith out of the game. They wanted to force somebody else to beat them, and that's exactly what they did. This was the first time all postseason long where the Buckeyes offense ran into some trouble. But right before halftime, when the Texas defense blitzed, the Ohio State offense stayed patient, and they burnt them on a screen to Henderson, where he took it to the house. From that moment, the momentum completely shifted. Texas did hang around, but late in the game, it was Jack Sawyer that made the play of the season with that strip sack, sealing the deal and sending the Buckeyes to the Natty. And that meant for all the marbles, it was Ohio State versus Notre Dame. Who would have thought? And Lou Holtz was still at it, adding even more fuel to the fire. Ryan Day said coming into this game that his goal was to get Jeremiah Smith more involved in the offense. Even though him only getting 3 yards against Texas led to other guys being open all game, he wanted to make sure his best player was involved on the biggest stage. So right out of the gates, Howard tried to find him a few times. Even though it didn't work, they tried getting him the ball on a direct snap, and throughout the early part of the game, they were just spraying the ball all over the field to him, Tate, and Ibuka. And since they did that, the Notre Dame defense was on their heels, and they were also able to run the ball. Ohio State did face a little bit of adversity out of the gate, with the Irish and Riley Leonard putting together that 18-play, 8-minute drive, scoring them the first touchdown of the game, and I was slightly worried about what Ryan Day would have this team do after that, but they just continued what they were doing the 3 games before, slinging it. And they quickly matched the touchdown, and Riley Leonard was out of gas, and the defense took full advantage, and from there, the offensive explosion began. Ohio State dominated so much that for the first time all season, Marcus Freeman, a guy who usually is super composed, was all out of sorts. He couldn't even answer his interview questions. And Ohio State just coasted to the win, playing very conservative in the second half. Notre Dame did fight back, and Ryan Day being Ryan Day had to find a way to make it interesting, but he and the Buckeyes got the job done. They hoisted up the trophy, and just in about 1 month of time, he went from people being ready to show up to his office with pitchforks, ready to riot, to now being an Ohio State legend and a guy who 30 years from now will get honored on the field. It was quite the story, quite the turnaround. Yeah, losing to Michigan still stings. Hopefully they can get them next year, but at the end of the day, a national championship is a national championship. And it's crazy that it's been a decade, but here we are, and the future looks super bright from here. I don't think anyone on this team is satisfied with just one. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this run, and thank you so much if you made it to this point in the video. And if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you would like to see next, and until then, I will see you all later.